Hi, and welcome to Jules Voto's Photo Focus. This video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do. Normally I talk about equipment or a technique or report on a trip I may have taken and what lenses I used and things like that. But this one's going to be a little different. I just finished editing a video, the fourth in my series, Vintage Lens, Modern Camera. This one's going to come out after that. So if you're interested, you could look back for that video. It's on the Nikon's 200mm f4 manual focus lens. After I finished editing that video, I was just catching up on a little bit of news, photography news, and there's just so many new cameras coming out, not just now, but it seems all the time. I can't keep up. I remember a time, and when I first got started in photography, it was never like this. I mean, Nikon will come out with a new pro camera every 10 years or so, and Canon too, 8 to 10 years. And other models will be introduced, but now it's just crazy. It's like computers, it's like cell phones. It seems like almost every day there's a new announcement. Now, Canon just came out with an updated, is it an R7 or an R6? Sony just came out with a new model. There's rumors of a Nikon Z8. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that and a couple other things that are on my mind. First of all, my newest camera is the camera actually I'm filming with this right now, and it's a Nikon Z6. And I purchased that Z6, I think it was February of 19. So it's almost 4 years old. I also have a Z7, which I purchased after that. I got a refurb. And the other camera I use quite a bit is a Nikon D810, which came out in 2014. So it's 8 years old. It's over 8 years old. I did a video on that recently. Just to say, it was kind of, I think I called it a short, long-term review. And that camera's getting up there. It's at almost 148,000 actuations, but never had an issue with it. And the images are great. For what I mainly do, what I earn my living at, headshots, senior portraits, things like that, event photography, my Z6, Z7, and D810 work out just fine, and I don't really need anything better. Would I like a Nikon Z9? Absolutely. I occasionally do some sports photography for a high school whose senior portraits I do. I sometimes will go to a wildlife refuge about 45 miles from my house, maybe a little more, maybe about 55 miles. Yeah, I'd like to have something a little bit better. I do have a D500, but I sold my 300mm lens and I don't have anything longer for that camera. I have a 270 to 200. And that's great for that type of photography, birds in flight and so forth. But do I really need a Z9 for what I do? I guess, the action stuff, yeah, definitely would be an improvement. The Z6 is good, but not as good as the D500 for action photography. But my whole point is, it's just crazy. There's no way you could possibly, every time a new model came out, upgrade. It's just too expensive, and the cameras just don't hold their value like the older cameras did, I don't think. I shot weddings for years and shot Hasselblad, and those cameras actually appreciated, at least until digital took over. It's great that there's all this technology, equipment keeps getting better. Autofocus is simply amazing on these new cameras. Now they detect animals and, can focus on your cat's eyes, and bird in flight photography seems to be so much better with these cameras. But do you really need it? The equipment you have now, does it meet your needs? If you're a professional sports photographer, a professional wildlife photographer, yeah, you're going to want the latest and greatest. Some of these new lenses are just unbelievable. So there's a couple of those new lenses Nikon recently introduced, the 400 2.8 and the 600 f4. But you're looking at, $15,000. So unless you earn your living doing sports or wildlife photography, and unless you're paid well, those lenses are out of reach for most of us. If you're happy with what you got, and I am, we keep going with what we have. Now, film, as probably most of you know, has kind of made a little bit of a return. It's never going to replace digital, and it's great. I have no complaints with digital, but sometimes I like to shoot film, and I prefer using the old mechanical cameras, and my favorite one, as many of you may know, is the Nikon F2. Recently, on a trip to New Orleans, I shot a few rolls one morning with my F2, and mainly with one lens, with the 35 2.0, and it's just great. There's something nice about going back to the mechanical camera with just a few controls and a few buttons, rather than these digital cameras, which are, computers really, with so much technology. You take your time with the film camera. Film is expensive, so you're going to shoot far less. I know I think more when I'm working with the manual camera, with the manual focus film camera. I put more thought into each image because I know it's expensive to shoot film. I have a 36 exposure roll in and another roll in my pocket, so I can't shoot hundreds and hundreds of pictures trying to fine tune it in each exposure, to get just the perfect shot. So you think more before pressing the shutter when working with the film camera. Now, I also want to take this time to thank all of my subscribers. I recently went over 1,250 subscribers. I know it doesn't come even close to some YouTubers. It's nice to know there's that many people interested in what I have to say, and I hope it's been helpful. And that's the main thing. I love helping people with their photography, especially beginners. If they have questions, I love answering their questions. I love giving them tips. I recently started a series on photography for beginners, film photography for beginners. So I hope you will take a look at that. I've already had 2 installments come out on that, and the next one is going to be on depth of field and stopping action with shutter speed. So I hope you will look for that video, and they come out the first Wednesday of each month. So look for that. And on the 3rd Wednesday of each month, I'm doing an additional video in my series, Vintage Lens Modern Camera. So again, thank you to all of you who watch. And one other thing, questions. I'd love to hear your questions. I'd love your suggestions on what you would like to see me do. I'm going to continue this series on the lenses. Over the last few years, I picked up a bunch of vintage lenses on eBay. So I think the cat just wanted to make an appearance. I have a lot of lenses I can speak about. So interested to see what you guys want to hear. So thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I come out with a new video every Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.